I forgot to take some of my supplements out of the background. Most of my progress, especially over the last year, has been thanks to these. And before we get stuck into that, I'm having, right now, a solely carb-based pre-workout meal of bagel with butter and these breakfast biscuits that I got from Lidl. You might be thinking, Sean, where's the protein in this meal? You always have protein in this meal. And you'd be right, but the reason for the lack of protein in this occasion is because I spent a disproportionate amount of my morning, as my mother would say, hatching. To prevent any further stomach upset, I decided to forego the protein for this particular meal. Today's chest day is going to be straight from the Fitzness app itself. And before we proceed any further in this video, there's two requests that I have of you. Number one is to drop this video a very, very quick like. And number two is to head to the link in the description and get your ass signed up to the Fitzness community so you can get in the shape of your life by the end of 2023. See, this is the thing about recording YouTube videos, is that you have to get the perfect angle and the perfect scene. And the bagel that was absolutely roasting hot is now cold and it tastes fucking way worse. But this right here would be what I would consider a pretty ideal pre-workout meal if you're having this meal relatively close to your workout. The more protein, the more fat that's in a meal, the more time it's going to take for your body to digest that. Whereas what I want is, because I'm going in to do a chest day, I want to be as strong as possible. I want to set a PB on the bench press. So I need something that's going to be relatively fast and efficient in terms of digesting so that I can use these calories, I can use these carbohydrates to have a really, really productive workout. So as a general rule of thumb, the bigger the meal that you have, the more time you should leave between eating it versus going in and doing your workout. If there's a very short window of time between you being able to eat something and you being able to get your workout done, you want to keep the load of that meal relatively light. So something like a slice of toast, something like a squares bar is going to be pretty ideal when it comes to you having something that fills the gap, that gives you a bit of fuel, a bit of energy, a bit of life in the upcoming session. If I was to wait like another 2.5 hours, I'd probably have something like bagel with eggs, rashers, etc. Because then I'm giving myself plenty of time to eat that meal, to properly digest that meal, and then use that meal as fuel in the workout. So not that I need any more caffeine, seeing as I've had a double espresso this morning and a can of Monster, and it's not even 10:30. I'm just gonna treat myself to a scoop of Abby's leftover pre-workout that she forgot to take home with her. The prospects of me further hatching before I do my gym session has been monumentally increased, would you believe? I'm under no illusions that my caffeine consumption is probably less than ideal. I've never pretended not to be a hypocrite. I will tell my clients, don't build a dependence on pre-workout. Only use it on the sessions that you really require it. And at the same time, I'll be the very one to chug 600 milligrams of caffeine before a shoulders and biceps session. Wouldn't change a thing. First exercise today was meant to be a barbell bench press, but the two barbell bench press setups that I like to use are taken right now. So instead I'm going to switch the order of the first exercise to be a flat dumbbell bench press. And this is actually how I used to train years and years ago when I first started off in the gym. I would usually have 2 chest days a week, one of which would be, my first chest exercise would be a heavy compound barbell bench press. Then on the second chest day of the week, I would alternate 2 heavy dumbbell bench press. Both exercises were usually performed with a heavy weight for about 5-6 reps, using a weight that would have me pretty much at failure by the end of 5-6 repetitions. So I might go back to that style of training for a while. But at the moment we have 60 kilo dumbbells. The most I've ever done for 60 flat bench, dumbbell flat bench was 12 reps. I'm gonna aim for 13. Shoulders not feeling too good, but we'll see how many we can get out. I'm not just saying this because I hit 12 there, but I actually think, and I have to correct myself, 11 was the most I've ever done before that. I managed to get 12 reps of 60 kilo flat dumbbell bench press there, which I'm almost certain, I'm not 100%, but I'm 90% certain that that's an all-time PB. That for me is more significant of a PB than I've ever had. Number one is the fact that flat dumbbell bench press, I don't do half as much as I used to. Number two, because my shoulder doesn't feel the best yet, I still managed to squeeze out a really decent set of 12 reps. In theory, that should mean that my bench press is above 180 now, but I would say if I went to do 180 now, I probably wouldn't get it. My barbell bench press. Just goes to show you, this is the benefit for me of having the camera in. Because when I set something up to record, I want to set a PB. I want to have something to post that might get good traction, or it's completely looking for external validation. But if it works, it works. I'm always curious to know, after my first set, especially a balls to the wall PB attempt, what's the drop off going to be? Because it would indicate to me that I'm at like my maximum potential in terms of my strength potential in that first set. If my second set is like 8 reps, so if there's a drop off of like 4 repetitions or a massive percentage drop off, and this is something that you'll experience more so in a cut. It may be the case that you're well able to sustain your strength for your first set of most exercises, but then you'll see in like set 2, 3, if there's a massive drop off in the amount of reps you're able to get, could be indicative that like your glycogen stores are being depleted. It could also be the fact, and this is something that you need to contend with as well, that your focus or your concentration has dipped after the execution of your first set, which is important to not allow happen, or at least mitigate the degree to which it happens, because it's all well and good having one really good top set, but really and truly to provide the most amount of stimulus, to get the most amount of growth from each muscle, you want to have like 2 or 3 relatively intense consecutive sets. Funny how I said precisely 8 reps. Like when I was hypothesizing what the drop off could be, I'd nearly planted in my brain that it was going to be 8 reps that I was going to be able to get for set 2. Because 4 repetitions is 33% of my first set, which I managed to get 12 repetitions, that's a massive drop off. So for me, I think because my focus, my concentration was good, I have the camera out, I have my music in, I reckon it's just an indicator that my first set of 12 repetitions was as close to my max potential or my max strength capability, if not pushing a little bit beyond it. So essentially, I just maxed out in the first set. I don't know if I worded that properly. What I meant to say is because my first set was at such a high intensity, I was pushing myself as much as I possibly could. I just completely flatlined my chest. So the quality of my next couple of sets, no matter how much I focus and dial in and concentrate, is just going to be that much inferior compared to the first one. It's also the same reason why you don't want to do too much in a warm-up, why you keep it to like 2, 3 sub-maximal sets, staying well away from failure, because you see a lot of people warming up and they warm up pretty close to failure, or they use a weight that's fairly fucking challenging. And as a result, their set number one, their actual working sets are not as high quality as they possibly could be, because they've just inflicted a lot of fatigue on their chest in their warm-up sets that took away from their strength and their performance in their working ones. Second exercise on the chest day today is the actual intended second exercise. So first exercise was meant to be barbell bench press. Couldn't find a decent barbell bench press, so I substituted instead. The flat dumbbell bench was first. Second exercise is incline barbell bench press. Now, incline barbell bench press is an exercise that over like the last 12 months or so has been one that I've been focused on trying to get as strong as possible on. For no other reason, again, like most things that I do, is completely comprised of boosting my ego as much as possible, because in my opinion, it's impressive to bench 3 plates and to rep 3 plates on a flat bench press. What's even more impressive than that is repping 3 plates on an incline bench press. So over the last 12 months, I've been focused on trying to improve my incline bench presses as much as I possibly could. When I'm not putting my barbell incline bench press first, if I'm doing it like second or third in a session, I'm not going to focus on high weight and low reps. What I will do in that case is a more moderate repetition range with a slightly more stripped back weight. For me, 100 kilos is quite light on an incline barbell bench press, but because my chest is already fatigued from the first exercise, I'm going to strip it back, do 100 for about in and around 8 to 10 reps. A little bit of a twinge in my left pec here today, so I'm not taking it as balls to the wall failure. Like, I'm not taking it to the point where it's debatable whether or not I'm finishing the repetition or I'm finishing the set, but I'm getting about 8/9 repetitions in each set, keeping it 2, 3, maybe even 4 reps shy of failure if someone was to put a gun to my head. So as per the app, the third exercise in theory that I should be doing is a flat barbell bench press. I typically don't like doing flat barbell bench press unless it's my first exercise of the session. So instead of doing that, I've used the swap exercise feature on the app. So it's just going to be a button right next to whatever exercise that you're not able to do or you don't want to do, and you can swap it for a like gym alternative or a home alternative if you're working out at home. And the one that I obviously swapping a barbell bench press out for is going to be this machine chest press. So you select machine chest press, swap now, and then your exercise gets swapped into your program. With this, again, a more moderate repetition range. Don't really care how many reps I successfully complete as long as it's taken to failure.
if you're someone who struggles with intensity and getting to failure and pushing yourself to do as much as possible, like you saw in that last set there, as you approach the last couple of repetitions, even if you're not able to complete a full repetition with a full range of motion, like so, do a couple of partials at the bottom until literally your chest or whatever muscle group you're looking to target simply just can't contract anymore to push that weight anywhere, really. I'm not sure if it's optimal or suboptimal, but just as I started that set, random playlist, random SoundCloud playlist, it's just a bunch of remixes, but sometimes, every so often, a rhythm is a dancer will slip in there, like the original version, like the one from the 80s. It's just, unfortunately, lacking a little bit in the hype department. Another useful tip to increase the intensity of your sessions, especially if you combine it with partial repetitions, to do a drop set, 2 or 3 drop sets at the end of your exercise. Probably your best bet is going to be to leave it to the last exercise of a body part in a session, so you can really just focus on frying out that muscle group and finishing it off as best as possible. But every so often, if you feel your intensity dipping a little bit, strip back the weight like I've done here and pump out an extra 2 or 3 sets at a progressively decreasing weight. Again, balls to wall failure always. Final exercise, if you don't know already, is a high to low cable fly. I know that the swap exercise feature is there for a reason. I should probably, as owner of the app, have a little bit more discipline when it comes to what exercise I select and how often that I use it. Because if a plan is there to be followed, you should probably follow along to the exercises. But again, another reason as to why I don't pretend that I'm not a hypocrite. Do as I say, not as I do. So once more, I've used the swap exercise feature, this time on a flat cable chest fly for a high to low cable fly. Again, with chest flies, I couldn't tell you what my strength is, what I'm looking to beat, what weight I'm able to lift for how many reps. It's just one of those exercises that as much as possible, I just try and deplete and fry my chest, particularly at the end of a session. One of the common complaints when it comes to a cable fly is balance and not being able to distribute your body weight evenly or sufficiently enough to be able to do as much weight as you can. So the biggest tips that I have in this one, leaning forward a little bit more. Bring your body weight a little bit over your front foot, and instead of doing 2 feet together, do a staggered stance or a split stance, similar to how you'd be setting up for a split squat. Split squat stance or a staggered stance, lean forward a little bit more, and that should be plenty enough to distribute your center of gravity so you can get the most out of the exercise. I want to get a little bit deep on y'all here, philosophically of course, not physically. Me vlogging in public, vlogging in gyms, putting up a tripod, talking to said tripod. A lot of it's not cope, but it's me pushing through far beyond what makes me comfortable because I can see the bigger picture. I used to always look at YouTubers years ago. I would always envy the fact that they were able to do what's a pretty brazen thing. Now, in fairness, most people have their headphones in, they're getting on with their session, bar like looking over and seeing me talking to a tripod every once in a while. They don't give a fuck, and I'm well aware of that. But it's still a very daunting thing for most people to even record on their phone inside the gym. When I ask like Fitzness clients to send me exercise demonstrations or like a video of their technique, it's a big task for a lot of them to do it, and it takes them the bones of a week or a couple of weeks to pluck up the courage to have someone video them performing an exercise. Never is it natural to me. Never is it something that I'm completely comfortable or nonchalant doing. Inside of my stomach, when I press that record button and the red light comes on, that feeling in my stomach, in the pit of my stomach, never goes away. But I just need to channel the courage to allow vocabulary and words to come out of my mouth in a semi-coherent manner. Even at the end there, and I'm very, very grateful for the bodybuilding number one, who are very, very good to allow me to record in there. Monster Pro are very, very good as well as I've been in Matchbox, I've been in City Gym. They've all been top notch in terms of letting me record inside in the gym. But it's still something that, even with their permission, is not the most comfortable thing in the world. And even at the end there, I was doing a physique update. I tried to generally find the quietest spot to do so, or the spot with the best lighting. But on some occasions I can find both. And I was doing a little physique update upstairs, A couple of people came upstairs. Did that make me uncomfortable and want to run and put my t-shirt on straight away? Yes, it absolutely did. And even though I was pretty much finished my physique update as like a flood of people were coming upstairs, I said, you know what? What if I wasn't about to finish this physique update? Would I run and put my t-shirt on straight away and hide from what it is that I'm doing, or am I just going to fucking own it? And the thing about doing some things that you know you need to do or you want to do, but just the fear of public humiliation is stopping you from doing it, the best advice that I can give you is just be fucking confident in everything that you do. Be confident when it comes to talking to the camera. Be confident whipping out the camera and talking to a tripod. I do think there's a graduated process before you're doing physique updates in the middle of a gym. Like, I do think you need to have a bit of muscle on your frame. But even if you don't, and it's the thing that you want to do, do it with confidence. There's a very big difference between me recording myself in the gym in an unconfident fashion, scurrying around, trying to hide the tripod or try to hide what I'm doing as much as possible, versus me just doing that with a sense of confidence. And I generally try to be as respectful as I can in terms of keeping people out of the background. But even at that, when it's showtime, when I'm ready to perform, when I'm doing the task that I want to do, I'm doing it with complete and utter confidence. Anyway, I'm about to fucking melt here. I'm meeting Alan Fitz, who's back. OGs of the Instagram channel will know who Alan Fitz is. He is Vanilla Gorilla 2.0. If you think I'm big, you haven't seen this guy. And he's one of the dudes that I want to show you at one stage or another as being a natural dude who's as big and as strong as I am. So anyway, he's back from Australia for 2 weeks. I'm going to the UK over to Abbey tomorrow, so I'm going to meet him for a coffee. And without further ado, I'll probably see you back at the house.
I joked in a previous YouTube video about doing an ad for HelloFresh. This isn't an ad for HelloFresh because you should have seen the state of the HelloFresh that I cooked the other night. Abby mistakenly, when she was here, got the HelloFresh ingredients delivered to the house here. That's exactly what I'm going to make. So there's 2 steaks in the fridge. The recipe itself is like a really complicated recipe. I just don't have time or the patience for that. So I'm literally just going to fry 2 steaks because I haven't had any protein today. And that's going to be my meal. I would put carbs with that, but I came home and the first thing that I did was I assassinated 1 Pringles tub. I assassinated a 2nd Pringles tub. And lo and behold, I assassinated these Dunnes Stores crinkle cut BBQ chips. I've absolutely and utterly ruined my appetite, but I'll make up for it by not having any carbs in this meal. I would love nothing more than to chop up a couple of peppers, a few heads of broccoli, maybe even some celery. But unfortunately, because I've eaten so many calories of Pringles and potatoes, I'm going to forego that luxury. When it comes to steak, I'm a medium rare man. I like a little bit of blood on my steak. I haven't quite perfected the art of cooking my own steaks yet. They almost always come out extremely well done. We're going to go with a minute on a high heat each side, and then drop it down to a medium heat and do maybe two minutes. 2 minutes. Let's go with that. Ah, the sizzle. They do seem like good steaks, to be fair. This is like in the Simpsons episode where Homer challenged the truck driver to the steak eating contest. What does that look like? It's hardly medium rare. Does that look like medium rare?
You're joking.
I'm not sure if that's well done or medium rare. Or comment down below. This is exactly what women will never understand about men. Literally just 2 pieces of steak, some sweet chili sauce, and that right there is the components of an elite boy dinner. No veg, no carbs, literally 2 pieces of steak. I wouldn't want anything else with this. Maybe if it was cooked a bit better, but that's besides the point. Cooking is an unholy waste of fucking time when you think about it. I have no interest in slaving in the kitchen for an hour just to put a meal on my plate. What is the most efficient meal that I can prepare in the shortest time frame? Perfect. Get me bags of those microwavable rice. You literally just peel the packet, put it in the microwave, it's ready in 2 minutes. No washing up, no fucking around. Can I get some mince and put it in a pan? If I have to cook vegetables, can I just dump the vegetables in the same pan? Yes, I can. Perfect. So, yeah, cooking's a waste of time. So this is probably the most difficult video that I've ever had to make. All I can say is that despite what has come out over the last few days, my reasons for doing what I did were completely from the right place. So those of you who have followed me for any length of time will know that I spoke an awful lot about my natural status. It's true that for most of my life I've been natural. I suppose I didn't discuss the change in my natural status because I didn't want to encourage young, potentially impressionable young lads who follow me to follow down the same path, especially if it wasn't necessary. I posted a video a couple of weeks back and regrettably I forgot to take some of my supplements out of the background. This wasn't an act to make more money. It was doing what I thought was right at the time. And you were right. Most of my progress, especially over the last year, has been thanks to these. It's these little vials that have allowed me to make the gains that I have made since in and around last September. It's not the only product I've been using. Vitamins, topical minoxidil, and even finasteride as well. I think it's very fair to say that without all of these supplements combined, my hairline wouldn't be as firm, it wouldn't be as full, and it certainly wouldn't be as defined as it is right now. I just got to a point that I was sick and tired of how my hair looked, and for me a transplant was the only alternative.